Labor for learning before you grow old, for learning is better than silver and gold. Silver and gold will vanish away, but a good education will never decay. That's the childhood gem we were taught, and as adults we are reaping the benefits of those hours we spent studying and giving our best effort in school. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson, and education is our focus on this edition of Jamaica Magazine. The country's Chief Education Officer, Dr. Grace McLean, is back on Issues and Answers with a promised update on new guidelines for school-based assessments, SBAs for CSEC, and other developments in the ministry. We'll also put the spotlight on one career in education. So stay with us for another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine.
I'm Mario Mackenzie, Robin, captain of the Calabar High Track team. And me have a message for anybody who are planning to take the tablet them, but the government give the schoolers for use in class. You never hear so them break the tablet them. That mean anywhere the tablets there, the government can shut them down. Plus GPS tracker installing of them. And even if you find a way and you go around all of that, the minute you go up on the internet, them are going to know. So here what you do. Just leave the youth them with the tablet. Give them a chance to further them education. Makes sense, done.
School-based assessments, more popularly known as SBAs, are a crucial element of most subjects offered by the Caribbean Examination Council, CXC. A strong SBA grade is a must if you hope to do well. So if you're preparing for CSEC, either as a student, teacher or parent, listen up. The Education Ministry has imposed new guidelines that govern SBAs. The Chief Education Officer, Dr. Grace McLean, now shares some details.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. We continue on the theme of education. So many important things are happening in this field. And the Chief Education Officer, Dr. Grace McLean, is back with us. We'll talk about new guidelines for the SBAs, as well as some initiatives being made starting this month, being accelerated from this month, to ensure that our students who are not doing well in particular areas are brought up to speed. We thank you for your company. Dr. McLean, good to have you back again. Always so interesting to talk with you. The SBAs, what are the changes being made, and what's the background to the changes in the school-based assessment?
Well, let me say first and foremost that the school-based assessment is managed through the Caribbean Examination Council, which is a part of the requirement for the students to do their CSEC and CAPE examinations on a yearly basis. CXC has a very robust system, but CXC is the examination body, and so when the students have submitted their documentation and the audits are done, we must ensure that we are not found wanting in any way by CXC, because if we are in breach of any of their procedures and their policies, then it is automatic cancellation of the students' results. Well, they will exercise discretion based on the reports that schools or students may submit, but in many cases breaches including plagiarism and so on. There really can be no discretion you know, in academic circles. And so we had some issues last year with SBAs with a few schools, and arising from that, the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Overseas Examinations Commission and the National Education Inspectorate, came together to develop a system to quality assure school-based assessment in preparation for the students to sit. And so we first and foremost did a survey, and we found that there were several breaches, high percentages of breaches in schools where SBAs were being submitted and not reviewed at all, or SBAs are submitted at the end of the syllabus period, and in cases where the SBAs are not reviewed by the teacher, or also cases where the SBAs are actually done by the teachers themselves. So out of this, we were able to use this information to develop a structure that will focus on 6 main areas, including teacher preparation, communication, accountability, monitoring, and the actual overall preparation of the students for SBA. And so we use those as the 6 pillars. And we have developed this system where we have also now trained auditors, quality assurance officers, who will go into the institutions just ahead, about 2 months before the completion of that cycle for CXC, just to check to see if the procedures were followed, if there was an ongoing process in terms of the students doing their SBAs, and in terms of the support that the teachers have provided. Very important, sir, as it relates to SBAs, is that SBAs are expected to be developmental. They are aligned to the syllabus, and it is really to assist the students in developing those fundamental concepts for them to do well in the examination itself. So it's not about a parent sitting down on the computer and doing up this research that is so attractive that it is beyond the teacher understanding. Or it's not about going to Halfway Tree to buy an SBA for submission. Now, in cases like this, the schools, if they have a system in place, they would know automatically that there is a breach on the part of the students, and that has to be corrected.
The system will pick that up?
The system will pick that up, and the system will ensure that it is corrected, and if there are sanctions that need to be applied, then the board has to come in place to take those sanctions. But how would the system know whether I, as a parent, did the work, except when it is so obvious that it's because apart from the procedures, there is a monitoring tool that each teacher is expected to have with the information for each student in the subject area based on the requirements of the SBA. And so it's very easy for the auditors to look at this and to cross-check what the students have done, and to be able to see those triggers that would indicate that it is not the student's work, or it was not done based on the procedures. Yes. Now, I
want to take a break at this point, Dr. McLean, because when I come up, we need to explore why it is not in the interest of the parents to help, and that they are not in fact helping their children when they do the SBAs for them. We're giving you some critical information that you need to help your children do well and to advance the family. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
I'm young, gifted, and violence-free.
I will stand up for peace. No matter what you say,
you can't take that away.
I'm young, gifted, and violence-free.
I choose to live.
I choose to be me.
Thanks for staying with us. We have in our studios today the Chief Education Officer, Dr. Grace McLean. We've been talking about the school-based assessment, and she has been giving us some important information where that is concerned. And I raised the issue at the break, Dr. McLean, that students, parents, they're helping their children when they do the SBAs for them.
Yes, yes. And we are not saying that parents should not help.
Give some assistance.
But parents should provide guidance in terms of the completion, but not in terms of taking this this project or this research and doing the entire document and giving the student to submit. Now, how the process works, the SBA is very detailed. The teacher is expected to go through at the beginning of the period of grade 11, or sometimes it starts depending on the subject from grade 10. Because, for example, the sciences, they have to start their labs and they do them actual practicals and the writing up of their lab books and so on. And so after the teachers have gone through, they divide the work that the students are to do in segments based on the syllabus itself. And so there are different points within the syllabus that you will link to that particular aspect of the SBA that the student is going to be doing. And so it is really supposed to be this guided approach that takes them right through to meet the deadline for the submission of the SBA. And at the end, the student should feel that I have a good grasp of applying what concepts and principles I would have learned based on the particular subject, and this is the product that I have to show for it. So it's really very, very important. We have seen cases where this issue of plagiarism is a major issue.
Especially
Students have suffered, and you now have Turnitin and all different kinds of software that can be used to check what you do. Now, apart from that, the auditors are trained to be able to pick up even the hard copy documents when there is plagiarism. Now, when that happens and it goes to CXC has no choice but to cancel the results of the students. So in order to avoid that and to prevent our students from having to suffer the consequences, parents have to be aware that provide that kind of guided support to your children, but do not actually do the physical work for them.
And don't just go on the internet and copy. That's what plagiarism means. Copy things from other
download,
people.
Copy, and paste.
Yes, and paste of things. And
yes, that is a major breach in preparation. And when we are preparing our students for life, these are things that when they go into the workplace, they will have to apply as well.
Yes.
And the teachers now must make sure that the guidance that they are providing for the students will be such that they will understand that this is developmental based on the curriculum. So it's really very important, Ian. We started a pilot. As a matter of fact, we presented this system that we have developed to the Caribbean Examination Council in meeting in December, and it was fully endorsed by the rest of the Caribbean, and they have asked to adopt it. So we are working through that now, and we started a pilot in December with 31 schools after we went through the training and so on. We are completing that report now with a view for the auditors to be out in March to do the full quality assurance sampling so that we can now have that report and submission to CXC. So we will see how things will go for this year, and we are really hoping that our schools will see and understand the importance of ensuring that while we are preparing the students to get grades 1s and 2s, we are also preparing them for life. So the ethical practices are very important in the preparation.
We need to develop ethical citizens.
Citizens, exactly.
So we have to start from early. There's an initiative, not initiative, but a continuation of a thrust to work with schools which are having challenges in numeracy and literacy. And that has been heightened this month.
Yes, literacy and numeracy, those are the two fundamental areas that the ministry has been using as those areas that are so important for our students' development. If they are literate and numerate, everything else will fall into place. We for this January that has started, we of course will continue with the adequate deployment of our 75 coaches in over 400 and I think 56 schools, and these are the lower performing schools. We have an initiative now where we are not only looking at the lower performing schools broadly, but we are looking at those large primary schools who, when we say they have a mastery level of, let's say, 80%, a significant number of the students are still at non-mastery. So if you have 100 students, or let's say 40 students who have not mastered, it may equivalent to one of our small schools. So we are targeting those schools as well with large population, which would have a larger number of students who are not at mastery. We are going into the schools. We are being supported by the University of the West Indies and USAID, along with our literacy specialists led by Dr. Hill and our numeracy specialists led by Dr. Benjamin. We are going into the schools with the teams. We are not only going in with the results, the data, which shows the strands, the areas that the students are weak in. For example, expression is an area in a literacy that they are weak in. So we have that data, but we are also looking at the pattern of performance of the students. We are looking at their attendance. We are looking at their nutrition. We are looking at other issues that really parents are expected to deal with, to see how we can work through the National Parenting Support Commission to address some of these issues. Because we have found that teachers are trying, the students are there making themselves available, but they are not prepared for learning because they are coming to school hungry. They are coming to school irregular. They are coming to school 2 days per week, or they are absent. They are here this week and not there next week. So we are looking at those issues to see how we can try to address some of those issues with other support within the country,
right,
so that the students can at least be in a position where they can access or they can actually learn what is being taught.
Thanks very much, as usual, Chief Education Officer Dr. Grace McLean, speaking to us about developments in the education sector. Thank you for your company. Next week I'll be back. Until then, Ian Bourne wishing you a pleasant day.
Chikungunya is a viral infection transmitted when an Aedes aegypti mosquito bites an infected person and then bites someone else. Symptoms include high fever, headache, joint pain, muscle pain, and rash. If you suspect that you've been infected, take paracetamol such as Panadol, Cetamol, and Tylenol. Infants, children under 5 years old, pregnant women, the elderly, persons with sickle cell, and chronic illnesses such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease are at risk for more severe symptoms and must see a doctor for proper evaluation and monitoring. Fortunately, most cases of CHIKV are mild, but if your symptoms worsen, you need to see a doctor. For more info, call 1-888-1-LOVE from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That number again, 1-888-663-5683.
Sunday is a family day. We like cook together, talk, share ideas, and help each other. We reason about things.
I spend quality time with my family every day.
It is very important because at the end of the day, you have children around you and you have to show them that, okay, this is the foundation, this is the way it's supposed to be.
They keep the family together and in line, you know, and especially with the boys.
Jamaica continues to move toward the goal of 100% literacy. Projects within the Education Ministry have been very successful, thanks in large part to the efforts of teachers and literacy specialists. Today we spotlight that career path and show you the reasons it's a viable option in the field of education.
They say reading maketh a full man. Well, if you're an avid reader and find joy in helping others learn, this month's program is for you. Hello, I'm Kerry, and today we're in class because our career discussion is singularly focused on a profession linked to spaces like this one. Later, we tap into some important information for young people, and then one sure way of getting your foot in the door. Please stick around.
Let's try to put those together. Again. What's that word? Pops. Call that word. Pops. Call the word. Pops. This word says pops. All right.
Michina Colson is a school-based literacy coordinator for the Ministry of Education.
Oh, this is my passion.
And that is usually the case for just about everyone who pursues this particular career path.
You have to be committed, you have to be patient. To treat with reading problems is not easy, right? But you have to be committed to the task.
A literacy specialist, sometimes called a reading specialist, is an educator who helps students develop their literacy skills.
When we talk about literacy skills, we're talking about writing, oral language or speaking, listening, and critical thinking. You take a clinical approach to teaching. So there you treat with the difficulties, reading difficulties, writing difficulties, and all of that.
We work on the words and then we go to the actual reading. So it's a step-by-step process. I also use the guided reading where I would read along with them, I would guide them into reading,
We also have those students who are performing above, and so the job of the literacy specialist is to provide enrichment programs so you know how to treat with those students as well.
We tie in with the regular classes through consultation as well as through observation of what the children are doing and so on.
He, come on, he forgot. So remember that word from this board. Let's read again. He forgot. Say stop.
Persons who take on this job are expected to have taken a number of post-secondary courses that focus specifically on literacy or reading education. A bachelor's or master's degree may be necessary.
You have different tertiary institutions that you can go. I know the Jamaica University, they have a lot of reading programs, they offer a lot of reading programs, and also degree in literacy in reading. And the University of the West Indies, they also have a bachelor's course in literacy studies and a master's course as well, and you can do that face-to-face or online. And I think Monique Teachers College, they have a literacy program there as well.
As long as the school or program you choose is accredited, your certification should also work in other countries. But
you need to, however, learn the culture of the places that you go to, because with literacy, you have to really teach it according to culture.
And locally or overseas, there is a solid demand for literacy specialists.
Yes, there are. And the schools, especially the primary schools and even the high schools, they have a high demand for literacy specialists.
Earning potential is also good, with local jobs attracting as much as 7-figure salaries and comparable numbers overseas.
So it's very lucrative.
So that I can give back really to my community, to my area, in whatever way I can. And this is my little way of doing that.
First and foremost, I have a passion. I have a love for reading, a passion for literacy. I love to help people, I love to help students. And one of my major success is getting a child who don't even know letter sounds. And at the end of a year or at the end of even 6 months, that child can read even a paragraph, and that is satisfying for me.
This word says what? Fox. This word says fox. That's 2 animals already we see in the story, right? Good job. Wow.
Nick, I got it. Google. You got us a job at Google? Not a job. It's an interview for an internship that could lead to a job.
Welcome to Google. This will not be your average internship.
We're looking at some sort of mental Hunger Games against a bunch of genius kids for just like a handful of jobs.
That's a Sharpie, by the way, genius.
Funny, but it is a real-life practice. Companies do provide work experience for students or young professionals, sometimes with a stipend, but often unpaid. Here's why you might want to consider this route. You gain valuable work experience, which can boost your resume and therefore employability. You're exposed to the office and work culture, so the learning curve is less steep once you actually get a job. You get to test your love of a particular career without being committed to a job right now. You can network with influential people in your career field to help you find work later, and you're positioned to develop new skills. To find an apprenticeship position, try going through the phone book and calling companies in your field of interest and ask if they're accepting apprentices. You may also check in with your school's career counselor, friends, or relatives. Once you know where to apply, send in a resume and personalize the cover letter showing not just your skills, but also emphasizing what the company will gain from accepting you. There may be no salary to think of, but an apprenticeship position might just pay off huge dividends in the long run. Think about it. I'm Kerry. Till our next meeting, consider these words from former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. Literacy is a bridge from misery to hope. It is a bulwark against poverty and a building block of development. Literacy is the road to human progress, and the means through which every man, woman, and a child can realize his or her full potential.
I had a plan for my life. I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be the first in my family to do great things. Then a friend of mine sold me into prostitution. You mash up my life.
Stop human trafficking. It destroys lives. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of human trafficking, call 811 or 1-888-PROTECT. Be wise. Open your eyes. Spot them. Stop them. A message brought to you by the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons.
On a crowded bus with exasperated, exhausted conductresses at the door, collecting fares from persons much the worse spirit of the approaching holiday, the bus stopped, and a gaudily dressed man mounted the steps, permeating the air with a very penetrating perfume. Fare paid, he attempted to be seated.
Madame.
He was addressing a small mountain in the shape of a woman.
Madame.
He repeated the salutation with pompous emphasis.
Would you mind composing your worthy body in such a position as to permit a decent citizen to anticipate being properly seated?
No reply, no movement.
Madame,
he continued,
would you mind moving your unwieldy hulk 10 degrees south so that I may transpose myself into the vacancy resulting from your vacation?
The woman was unmoved, remaining deaf and silent to his educated speech. There was a vacant seat, but owing to the expansive girl of the woman, it was difficult to locate.
The linguist was confident that if the mountain moved 10 degrees, the position would be fully revealed.
And he wanted that position very badly.
Madame, it would be an inestimable pleasure if you would respond to my invitation to career your ungainly body gearbox south so as to accommodate and make way for yours truly.
The mountain slowly looked up.
I don't understand you.
Was all she said.
Do not understand me.
He was shocked, annoyed, honestly aggrieved that his learned speech should be
not understood. Madame, kindly perambulate down.
This had no effect.
Madame, execute down.
Still no result.
Madame.
He was shouting now.
Madame, exaggerate down.
The woman refused to respond.
Blue with rage, his knowledge of cultured speech having served no purpose, he turned upon the woman mercilessly. Well, see ya?
Move down your oversized and sumptuous multiple of extemporous matter.
He put it plainly.
Woman, move down your big self. The mountain moved quietly down.
We have just presented
The Linguist by Geo Wallace.
We close today with this profound quote. The price of ignorance is far greater than the cost of an education. Bear that in mind as you prepare for another productive week. If you need more information on what's happening in our education sector, go on our website, jis.gov.jm. You may also stay in the know by following us on social media, Twitter and Facebook. Check out our YouTube channel to watch all our programs at your own convenience. Join us again tomorrow on this same station. Until then, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Have yourselves a wonderful Sunday.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.